things I like about playing this format is that I can talk a little bit about how I wrote some of the songs. And this lick right here came to me when I first got to Chicago back in the 1980s to sign with Alligator Records. The band and I pretty much moved to Chicago at the time to be around the music and around the label and around all the gigs up there around the Great Lakes. And we all took up residence at a motor court, the North Shore of Chicago, a place called the Heart of Chicago Motel. Not the nicest motel in Chicago. But we didn't care because we were hanging out in the clubs every damn night with our idols, you know? Guys like Otis Rush and Sun Seals, Lonnie Brooks, and Junior Wells. And of course, the great Coco Taylor. But the baddest of them all at the time, the main man, was Albert Collins. And nobody could cut Albert Collins. We all tried, but we couldn't do it. All the guitar players would line up at the side of the stage and he'd call us all up one at a time. And he would slice and dice us. We loved it. It does sadden me that everybody I just mentioned is gone now. They're all gone. But there's one fellow from that era who's out there still doing it. That's right, Buddy Guy. It is worth pointing out that Buddy Guy is on probably the longest retirement tour I've ever heard of in my life. And since I've based my whole musical thing on copying him, I'm just going to go ahead and announce my retirement tonight. And see if I can stretch it out 20 years or so. But when I would go see Buddy play at his checkerboard lounge, he would always play this groove right here, you know, it really stuck in my mind. Kind of a tough, modern Chicago groove. But at the same time, I was listening to the rock and roll music that I grew up with. Bands like ZZ Top. I love me some Top. And they had a song that went, I may not want to admit it, I'm just a fool for her stockings, I believe. So I took the two grooves and I put them together and came up with a song. It's one way of looking at it. This one right here. Seems like nowadays ain't nothing made to last. One day you got it all, and it just appears so that fast. Now love, well, it's on and off again. Well, I know you wanna quit me, baby, but a quitter never wins. See what I did there? Don't tell on me. You walked out of love. I stayed through thick and thin. And after all that we've been through, baby, now you're telling me this is the end in our love. Well, it's on and off again. Well, I know you wanna quit me, baby, but a quitter never wins. So I put this song on my Store Morning album. It came out in 1994. Is that 32 years ago? Ouch. And a couple years after that, in 1996, I was playing a gig up in Minneapolis. I was getting ready to go on stage. And a knock came on the dressing room door. And I opened that dressing room door, and there was a 13-year-old boy standing out there. And he wanted to come up in that dressing room, and he wanted me to teach him Quitter Never Wins. Now, he didn't seem so dangerous, so I let him in. But he turned out to be highly dangerous because his name was Johnny Lang. And he recorded my song and put it on his debut album. And he sold 2 million copies of my song. That got my attention. I'm a big fan. But ever since then, a couple dozen other artists have recorded the tune. John Lee Hooker Jr. did a nice version of it. And probably my favorite version was done by a guy from Chicago named Melvin Taylor. Then 4 years ago, the late, great John Mayall put it on his final album. So grateful. Seems like nowadays, love a word that no one means. You swore you'd never leave me, honey. Then you haven't walked out on tea in our love. Well, it's on and off again.